Well, good evening, people. Looks like I'm starting off alone tonight again, as normally I expect people will pop up later. Anyway, um, I'm gonna jump straight to the subject. In the recent weeks, even though I don't follow the news much and stuff like that, but I've still noticed that the subject of Russia, Ukraine, um, and the actual involvement of the NATO itself is becoming more and more discussed. So, as far as I remember, 2 years ago, like the United States president and a lot of European presidents as well, or prime ministers, were saying that sending troops to Ukraine would mean potential provocation of a third world war and nuclear war and things like that, and we're not gonna play that we're not gonna go that far. That's at least what they said, right? And if you listen to the more recent narratives, it looks like, well, it looks like apparently, of course, what did come out to be very true is that CIA had quite a few secret bases and laboratories in Ukraine. So initially, that was also part of the conflict, so to say, which started already 10 years ago in 2014. The whole coup had happened. Um, so the violent takeover of the government from the previous pro-Russian government was also proven by all the leaks and stuff. Well, there was a lot of involvement of agencies like CIA and MI6 and all this stuff on the ground. So that's not news anymore. What is more news is the fact that the German intelligence and a few others came across a document which proves that there are British, or it was leaked through the German services, that there are already British troops on the ground in Ukraine. So that means boots on the ground, which technically is in itself now a provocation. Um, and I believe Mr. Putin himself hasn't really expressed any hesitation to use nuclear weapons to basically act more aggressive. And I wouldn't be surprised really why, because obviously, as I said in one of my previous streams to someone when they were asking me about my stance on Israel versus Palestine, and I said that basically I cannot pick any sides when it comes to war, and I never will, and the same goes for the Russian and Ukrainian war. Um, and it's even more stupid to pick sides because both of the sides are pretty much still, in my opinion, two sides of the same coin, which is pretty much, you know, the some sort of like corporate or very centralized power and takeover of the policies and politics and the lives of all of us around the world. And it's just pretty clear that large majority of people don't agree with that. But this is what basically the media don't discuss. Obviously, the politicians don't care because they're now just literally all in unison driving all the same agenda. So it's barely any voices of dissent in politics, which is generally pretty concerning because even though when you look at the statistics, the polls, and the questions, for example, let's say the France, 80% of people disagree with the war in itself and funding the war and sending people to war and all of this stuff, and they don't want to fight. But there is a discussion of drafting people. So it's clearly showing that as a democracy in itself, and the freedom to choose and to vote and all of these things has been completely taken away from us, whether that be in United States or Europe or pretty much any part of the world. So it's interesting to see, because we have, like, on one side this extremely powerful elite and politics and intelligence community, as well as the military apparatus, and then on the other side we have people. So anywhere between 60 close to 90% even, depending on the region, the country, and so forth. So I guess a large majority of people know that stuff is going in the wrong direction, don't want to go in that direction, but what's lacking here is the actual activity, some kind of action that would resonate with those thoughts that people are thinking. So even the fact that most of these polls are usually anonymous, so that means that people are only brave enough and feel free enough to speak their mind when they're not being observed by others, listened to others, especially from the opposition. So we've gotten used to living in social bubbles and just basically hang around and talk to just very like-minded people instead of trying to understand each other and see where we can actually find those common action points for the better and safer future. All of the social media, the mainstream media, and everything where it's going is not serving us to be able to articulate, to express, and actually talk about the real facts and real issues there. More and more, it's all being emphasized on certain archetypes of how we're supposed to look, how we're supposed to live, how we're supposed to think. And how much suffering that is really causing on an individual level and society as well. The infrastructure is falling apart. People are getting no health support, no education. Things are getting worse and worse, while a lot of money is being pumped into, let's say, supporting all sorts of immigrations from everywhere and wars that cause these immigrations, while people from the countries where they're born get zero regardless of how hard they work. And it's getting harder for everyone. So there's like this type of survival mode and trauma being imposed on everyone, regardless whether you have enough or you don't. Everyone is still afraid to lose whatever they've got. And that's the whole situation since 2020, because people were threatened, one way or another felt threatened. Either they felt threatened because of the pandemic itself, or they felt threatened by oppressive governments, they felt threatened by other people who felt threatened, and so forth. Everyone, literally everyone, experienced very bad kind of trauma. And now through this perpetual warmongering that keeps going on, that trauma doesn't heal. It's only getting worse and worse. More people are getting self-isolated, self-censored. They don't speak what they really mean. And just generally, the machinery keeps running on completely unchecked. So even this issue with all this toxicity in the world that we have from any kind of side, whether it's pro LGBT or against it, or feminist or against it, or pro male issues or against it. It doesn't matter, just on both sides or everywhere you look, we find more or less the extremes, which means there are two very loud minorities, so to speak, and those people in the middle just don't say anything, they don't do anything, and things keep going as they do on the surface, very out of balance. But the reality is really different. There's still a lot of good stuff going on. There's a lot of people who really just want to live a better life without wars, without unnecessary issues and hatred. But they're not given their voice and the platform as well, as they don't want to speak. So what is there to do? Is there a solution? Yeah, in that case, we are all the solution. Each and every one of us is talk, listen, communicate, and stop censoring yourself, in a sense that speak up your mind and speak honestly. And that's pretty much how we're gonna get through this. If it's gonna hurt hearing someone else being honest, you gotta ask yourself why it hurts you. If what you say hurts other people, believe it or not, more often it's really their own problem. Especially if you are being kind and polite in your words. But it's not the necessity to prove that you're a good person. I could tell many people to straight up fuck off because of what they do and how they are like. And just because I told them so, it doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes them someone who previously did not take the polite request to leave you alone or stop. They didn't hear it, they didn't want to hear it, so that's why they got to the level of different kind of interaction. It's really important that we're being honest with each other and ourselves. With respect, of course. And if we're gonna try and prevent all the bold psychopaths from the West and the East, and all the other rats who are at a race to serve the masters, if we're gonna stop them from annihilating everyone and the whole world, and to stop them from their continuous destruction and pollution of our world, it's gonna take a lot more than just a few anonymous votes and likes and memes and some of these videos as well. It's gonna take a lot more. But it has to start at least from the point of keep talking. And if they cancel you, if they ban you, if they silence you, find another platform to talk. There's so many. And there's always people who will listen. Either one or two, doesn't matter. It's not about the numbers, it's about getting the message across. My message has always been one home, planet Earth, one religion, love, one family, humanity. And if we can try and all learn from that, there's a lot more we can explore and achieve. It's not about achievements on a material level, but who we are, what we can do, how we can change our lives, how we can heal ourselves and heal as a society. To me, these subjects are important, and I hope to a lot more people as well than it appears on the surface. And I hope we are going to talk about this more often, rather than just the problems we all have as individuals and the society. Because talking about problems is easy, finding solutions for those takes a lot of effort and failures and accepting those as a part of the process and learning and healing. So, thanks for watching again, whoever is watching right now or will be watching later. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments what you think about it. What is your real opinion on all of this? If you have anything more to add, I'm more than welcome. You're more than welcome, I'm sorry, to add to that. And I'm more than happy for you to add. And I'll be around soon. On my other channel, I'm gonna try to dive a little bit into the adventure and the details I had so far with the boat. It's typical, proper boating experience. There's loads of highs and loads of lows, even in 1 month. Thanks again. See you around, and peace.